All right, man, it's official. The NBA has lost its ever-loving mind. Because in case you haven't heard, this last week, the NBA has just been on a string of bad decisions, one after another. From deciding to host the All-Star game despite the Roni pandemic going on, to the whole KD situation with the contact tracing pulling them in and out of a live game, to shutting down Mark Cuban and forcing every NBA team to play the National Anthem before every game. The NBA has just been straight tripping. But before we get into all that, in case you're new here, I'm Mav, and welcome to Mav Ball, where we talk about everything sports related, from sports news, rumors to reaction, and everything else going on in the sports world every week. So go ahead and subscribe and join the Mob Squad so you don't miss a thing. But for now, let's go ahead and get into the first topic, which is the NBA All-Star Game. So earlier this week, Adam Silver and the NBA surprised everybody by announcing that they're going to be hosting an All-Star weekend this year in Atlanta. But in case you haven't forgot, we're still smack dab in the middle of a Roni pandemic right now. And as you can also imagine, the NBA players, specifically the NBA stars, did not like this at all. Because given what they had to go through in the whole NBA bubble over the summer, not to mention all the hoops they have to go through now with contact tracing, constant testing, just to play in a regular NBA game, just for the NBA to come out and announce that, yeah, we're going to take the best player from every team and put them all together in one place in one city in Atlanta. So yeah, the players weren't too happy, and LeBron himself let it be known by saying having an All-Star game this year is like a slap in the face. And he also said, I have zero energy and zero excitement about an All-Star game this year. I'll be there physically, but not mentally. And LeBron wasn't the only star to speak out about this. Other players like Kawhi Leonard, Giannis Antetokounmpo, even KD all spoke out about having an All-Star game this year. And personally, I gotta agree with them, because deciding to have an All-Star game after everything that's gone on this past season is honestly pretty hypocritical. Because again, you're gonna be flying every best player from every team down to one spot, one city at the same time. Not to mention, it's Atlanta, which is in the South, and we know how the South has been getting down this whole pandemic, because all it takes is one player to catch the Rona down there and then spread it across to every superstar across the league, and the NBA is going to have a huge problem on their hands. Because if they thought it was bad when players were resting and doing load management, imagine how bad it's going to be when every star player is out because of Rona and no star players to watch even in primetime games. What makes you really have to think, is it worth going through that, just to have an All-Star weekend? Personally, I don't know, but what I do know is that the NBA better hope, they better pray that nothing bad goes down, because if it does, they got a full-blown catastrophe on their hand. And oh yeah, speaking of the Rona, that's the next thing that the NBA has been tripping about, because last week in a game between the Brooklyn Nets and the Toronto Raptors, due to contact tracing, KD got pulled not only once but twice from the game, not to mention during a clutch moment in the fourth quarter at the very end. And just in case you missed this whole ordeal, the sequence leading up to the game was wild. It all started with, shortly before tip-off, Woj tweeted out that KD will be pulled from the lineup due to contact tracing, and that he would miss the actual game. And so the game tips off as usual, and the players play for a couple minutes or so. All of a sudden, the broadcast shows the Nets bench, and KD comes out and sits down on the bench amongst all the Nets players. But what? Isn't KD supposed to be doing contact tracing? If he's doing contact tracing, why is he near and around teammates? But turns out the person that KD was in close contact with tested negative. And since this test came back clean, this allowed KD to be cleared to actually play in the game. And so after only missing a couple minutes of game action, KD actually checks in the game and actually starts playing. And so everything's going smoothly until the third quarter hits and there's a stoppage of action. All of a sudden, somebody comes over and taps KD and tells him that he has to come out the game, even though 2 quarters ago he just got cleared to actually check into the game. Come to find out that the test that came back from that contact tracing actually tested positive. And so because that test was positive and KD was around that person, he had to leave the game. Yep, that's right. Late in the second half, smack dab in the middle of a game, KD had to actually leave the floor, even though he already played 19 full minutes with teammates and opponents from the other team. To which the Nets will go on to lose that game to the Raptors, ending one of the wildest sequences I've ever seen. Because somehow a player that went through contact tracing and got to play due to a negative test checked into the game, played 2 full quarters, only to be removed again because that same test had actually came back positive, which is just straight wild. And after the game, KD had a lot to say about this on Twitter, with him tweeting out simply, "Free me." And then following up that tweet with another one saying, yo, NBA, your fans aren't dumb. You can't fool them with your whack PR tactics. Free 7. So yeah, it's safe to say that KD was not happy with what went down on that night. And I can't blame him because that's kind of crazy to go through that being in and out of a game. And also, once again, just like the All-Star situation, this situation could have ended terribly if KD actually went back in while somehow being positive and then spreading that to all the teammates in the other team. They could have had another catastrophe on their hands. And if you thought that was enough, oh, we are not done yet, because earlier this week, Dallas Mavs owner Mark Cuban had came out and announced that they were going to stop playing the National Anthem during Mavericks home games, to which what they've already been doing the whole year, but this was going to apply once fans had actually been able to return back to the stadium. And boy, did the NBA not like this, because they came out almost immediately and sent a letter out to all 30 teams stating that all NBA teams must keep the tradition of playing the National Anthem before games, basically shutting down the movement that Mark Cuban was kind of trying to start up by basically telling every team, hey, you either get down or you're gonna lay down, essentially, which basically ended a week of just crazy, weird, bizarre storylines going on with the NBA. To which I gotta ask, is this basically the end of the honeymoon phase of Adam Silver being a commissioner of the NBA? Because when he took over as commissioner from David Stern, RIP, he was basically lauded as like a favorite of the players, kind of like a player's commissioner, you know. And for years he's been pretty well liked, I must say. But when you start making decisions like hosting the All-Star game during the Roni pandemic and kind of shutting down things with the social justice movements, it might kind of start making players look at the commissioner kind of with a side eye, you know. And eventually it's only going to be so much time until you're going to be well liked, and the next thing you know, you're vetoing trades for the Los Angeles Lakers. Who knows? But honestly, I'm curious, do you guys care about the All-Star game this year? Are you guys down for some of the new changes for the All-Star game as well? Because, you know, I've been hearing things like they're going to have the dunk contest during halftime, along with a couple other changes. So yeah, you guys let me know. Are you looking forward to the All-Star weekend? And if so, who are you looking forward to playing in the All-Star game? Because I know two things for certain. One, Kyrie, he's not going to be there. Kyrie going to be somewhere partying, who knows? And two, Harden is hitting the strip clubs. Oh my God. You put Harden in Magic City, Atlanta, man, this dude gonna go wild. But yeah, man, that's gonna do it for this one. Don't forget to like and go ahead and subscribe and join the Mob Squad, where we post videos every week about sports, news, rumors, reaction, you got it. But for now, that'll do it for me. Stay marvelous.